Sweetheart, residents are not allowed unsupervised internet. That was the sentence that ended my old life. I asked a polite young woman for a Wi-Fi password. She tilted her head the way you tilt it at a child, and she answered me in the voice nurses use when they have already decided who you are. Residents. I had been in that building for 40 minutes. My husband had been in the ground for 11 days. And the man who drove me there, the man who buckled my seatbelt that morning, was the boy I raised alone after his father's first stroke. My name is Eleanor. I am 74 years old. I have worked 2 jobs at once, paid a Cornell tuition in cash, and buried a husband who I loved for 41 years. None of that was the worst day of my life. The worst day was a Thursday in April, in a building called Pine Ridge, when I learned that my only son had signed papers about my brain. What he did not know was that there was a folder, there was a phone number, and there was a quiet, retired tax attorney who had been planning very gently for a Thursday exactly like this one. Stay with me. I want to tell this right. Marcus drove me to Vermont the morning after we lowered Harold into the ground. He said the words like he had practiced them. Mom, you need a few weeks somewhere quiet. A grief retreat. They have walking trails. I already called. I sat in the passenger seat with my purse on my lap and my husband's wedding ring on a chain inside my blouse. I had stitched a small pocket for that ring 2 nights before with thread I found in Harold's old desk. I did not tell Marcus about the pocket. I did not tell Marcus about the chain. I asked him one question on that drive. Eleanor, is this a hotel? Marcus did not look at me. He kept his hands at 10 and 2 like a teenager taking a road test. Marcus, it is a wellness community, Mom. You will love it. I knew, 3 sentences into his answer, that he had rehearsed it in the car the night before. There were 3 things wrong with the way he said community. He said it too softly. He said it twice. And he did not call me Mom on the second one. The small cruelties had started in the hospital 11 days earlier. Harold was dying. The cardiologist asked me whether Harold had taken his evening dose. I opened my mouth to answer, and Marcus stepped in front of my chair. Marcus. She gets confused sometimes. Let me check his chart. I had given Harold every pill for 16 years. I had measured his potassium. I had written the times on a yellow legal pad that lived on top of the refrigerator. I did not get confused. I was tired. There is a difference, and any woman over 60 already knows it. I let it pass. I told myself it was grief talking. You probably already know that voice in your own head, the one that explains away the thing your gut already heard. At the funeral, Marcus walked me down the aisle and seated me in the back row beside the caterers. The minister had to lean past 3 trays of sandwiches to find my eyes. Harold's law partner, a man named Walter, sat in the front row where I should have been. Walter turned around once during the service. He looked at me for a long second. He did not smile. He nodded, the way a man nods when he has just understood something he was hoping he would not have to understand. I did not know it yet, but Walter had already opened a drawer. We arrived at Pine Ridge at 10:40 in the morning. Marcus carried 1 small suitcase. Mine. He did not carry his own, because he was not staying. A young woman behind a high counter smiled at me with all of her teeth. Receptionist. Welcome to Pine Ridge, sweetheart. We are going to take such good care of you. There it was. The first sweetheart. I noticed it because Harold had a rule about that word. He said any stranger who calls a grown woman sweetheart is either selling something or hiding something. 41 years, and the man was right about a lot of small things. I asked her, very pleasantly, for the Wi-Fi password. Receptionist. Oh, honey, residents are not allowed unsupervised internet for the first 90 days. It is policy. Residents. 90 days. Policy. 3 words, and the floor of my life tilted under my shoes. I turned to Marcus. He was already 3 steps toward the door. Eleanor. Marcus. What did you sign? He did not turn around. Marcus. We will talk on Sunday, Mom. Get settled. The glass door closed behind him. I heard the small electronic click of the lock from the inside. The receptionist kept smiling. She did not look up. I sat down in a chair with vinyl arms and put my purse on my knees. My hand went, without my permission, to the chain at my throat. I felt the ring. I felt Harold. Before I tell you what was in the folder, I need you to understand something. If you have ever sat in a chair you did not choose, in a building you did not pick, with a son's signature on a paper you were never shown, then you already know what happened next inside my chest. It was not panic. Panic is loud. This was quieter. This was the sound of a woman doing math. Stay with me, I am almost there. I asked the receptionist if I could use the phone in the day room. She told me residents could make one supervised call per day after intake. I told her I was not a resident yet. She blinked at me twice. Receptionist, sweetheart, you are on the list. I smiled at her the way I used to smile at school principals. Eleanor. Then I would like to make my one call now before I unpack. She slid a beige phone across the counter. The cord was short. The receiver was warm from someone else's ear. I dialed Walter from memory. I had been dialing that number since 1982, when Harold first joined the firm. Walter picked up on the second ring. He did not say hello. Walter. Eleanor. Where are you? I told him the name of the building. I told him the word the receptionist had used. I told him about the 90 days. Walter was quiet for what felt like a full minute. Walter. Read me the address off the brochure on the counter. I read it. Walter. Do not sign anything else. Do not eat anything you did not bring. I will be there before dinner. I hung up the phone. I slid it back across the counter. The receptionist was watching me now with a small line between her eyebrows. Receptionist. Everything all right, sweetheart? I looked at her for the first time as a person. Eleanor. I am going to need a glass of water and a chair by the window. She brought me both. She used the word sweetheart again as she set the glass down. I counted. That was 4 sweethearts in under 2 hours. I have known women like her my whole life. The voice goes lower every time, and the smile gets thinner. While I waited for Walter, I did 3 things. I opened my purse and felt for the small spiral notebook I had carried since Harold's first stroke. The pages had names, dates, dosages, account numbers, and one short list I had written 6 weeks earlier and never shown anyone. I felt for the notebook. It was there. I opened the inside zipper pocket and felt for the second thing. A folded copy of a document Harold had handed me in 2019 on a Tuesday morning at the kitchen table when he was still strong. He had not made a speech. He had only said, Eleanor, this stays with you, not in the safe, with you. The third thing was a small cassette recorder, the kind reporters used in the 1980s. It had belonged to Harold. It was already running. I had pressed the button in the car when Marcus said the word community for the second time. You did not know about the recorder. Marcus did not know about the recorder. I am telling you now because the recorder is going to matter later. Walter arrived at 4:16 in the afternoon. He walked through the front door of Pine Ridge in the same gray suit he had worn at Harold's funeral. He did not smile at the receptionist. He did not say sweetheart to anyone. Walter. I am here for Eleanor. Receptionist. I am sorry. Are you family? Walter set a leather folder on her counter. He did not open it. Walter. I am her late husband's law partner. I am also the emergency contact on her revocable living trust, dated June 14th, 2019, naming her sole trustee. The committal her son signed is invalid. Bring me the director. The receptionist stopped smiling. She picked up a phone with both hands. The director was a thin man named Dr. Pennington. He had the kind of handshake that ends before yours does. He led us into a small office. He did not offer me a chair. Walter pulled one out for me himself. Dr. Pennington sat behind his desk and folded his fingers. Dr. Pennington. Mrs. Halloway, your son expressed significant concerns about your cognitive state. We have a duty of care. Walter slid a single page across the desk. The sound the page made on the wood was very quiet. Walter. This is the trust. Read paragraph 4. Read it out loud, please. Dr. Pennington read it. His voice got smaller toward the end. Walter. Now read the date of the power of attorney your intake nurse photocopied this morning. Read it out loud, please. Dr. Pennington read it. Walter, the trust supersedes. The power of attorney is not durable. Your committal is unsigned by a treating physician. You have, by my count, 4 separate problems with this admission, and I have not opened the second folder yet. The doctor looked at me. He looked at Walter. He looked at his own hands. Dr. Pennington, Mrs. Halloway, please accept our apology for any confusion today. Eleanor, I am leaving now. That was all I said. 5 words. I have used fewer words to mean more in my life, but not often. We drove home that night with my one small suitcase in Walter's back seat. Walter did not turn on the radio. About halfway to the house, he spoke once. Walter. Harold told me in 2019 that he was worried about Marcus. He said the boy had started asking questions about the lake cabin. Harold built the trust the next week. I nodded at the windshield. I did not cry. I had cried enough for one April. By Tuesday of the following week, 3 things had reverted to me. The house on Larch Street, the brokerage account at Fidelity, which neither Marcus nor his wife had ever seen the real number on, and the lake cabin in the Adirondacks where Marcus had learned to swim when he was 4. If you have ever watched a grown son turn into a stranger over the price of a lake cabin, you understand the rest of this story before I tell it. Marcus came to the house on Wednesday. He used his key. I had not changed the locks yet because I wanted him to walk in exactly the way he was about to walk in. He stood in the front hall with his coat still on. Marcus. Mom, we need to talk about what you did. I was sitting at the dining room table with my notebook open and Harold's old cassette recorder beside my coffee cup. Walter was in the kitchen, out of sight, drinking tea. Eleanor. Sit down, Marcus. Marcus sat. He looked at the recorder for a long second. He did not ask about it. Marcus. You embarrassed me at Pine Ridge. Dr. Pennington called my office. Do you understand how this looks? Eleanor. Tell me about the power of attorney. Marcus opened his mouth. He closed it. He opened it again. Marcus. Dad and I talked about it. Before he passed. He wanted me to handle things if you got, Eleanor. If I got what, Marcus? He did not answer for what felt like a full minute. I slid the first folder across the table. The sound of the cardboard on the wood was very small. Inside was a copy of the trust. Marcus read the first paragraph. His face did the thing faces do when math stops working. I slid the second folder. Inside was the actual power of attorney Marcus had filed, with the notary stamp circled in red pen by Walter. The notary's commission had expired in 2022. Marcus had used a friend. Marcus. Mom. I slid the third thing across the table. I did not open it. I just set it down between us. It was Harold's old cassette recorder. The little red light on the side was not on. The little red light had been on, in my purse, in his car, 11 days earlier, when he said the word community for the second time, and the word confused at the hospital, and the words she gets confused sometimes to the cardiologist. I pressed play. Marcus's own voice came out of the small speaker. He had said, on that drive, one sentence I had not let myself remember until then. Marcus, on the tape. Once she is in there 90 days, the cabin is basically mine anyway. The kitchen went quiet. Walter did not move from where he was standing. Marcus's hand stopped halfway to his coffee cup. I clicked the recorder off. Eleanor, the house is mine. The brokerage is mine. The cabin is mine. Your father saw you coming. Marcus opened his mouth. I held up one finger. He closed it. Eleanor, you may leave through the same door you came in. He stood up slowly. He picked up his coat. He did not look at me. As he reached the front hall, I spoke one more time, quietly. Eleanor, Marcus. There is a parking ticket on your windshield. I put it there myself this morning. You parked in front of a hydrant. He stopped with his hand on the doorknob. He did not turn around. The door closed behind him without a slam. A small click, like the one at Pine Ridge, only this time on the right side of the glass. Walter came out of the kitchen with his tea. He sat down across from me. He did not say anything for a long while. Walter. Harold would have liked the parking ticket. Eleanor. Harold would have liked the recorder more. We sat there with the folders between us on the table. I touched the chain at my throat. I felt the ring inside the small pocket I had stitched 2 nights before the funeral with thread from Harold's old desk. 5 people in our family stopped speaking to me by the end of that summer. Marcus's wife, Marcus's wife's mother, 2 cousins who had always preferred a winner, and Marcus himself, who sent 1 letter in August asking, very politely, whether I might reconsider the cabin. I did not reconsider the cabin. I drove up there in September, alone, with Harold's wedding ring still on the chain inside my blouse. I sat on the dock where Marcus learned to swim when he was 4. I watched the water go dark. A young woman from the marina walked past on the path. She waved at me. She called out hello and asked if I needed anything. She did not call me sweetheart. She called me Mrs. Halloway. I had not heard my own name said that gently in a long time. I waved back. I touched the ring through my blouse, and I sat there until the lights came on in the cabins across the lake, one by one, the way Harold used to count them out loud on Tuesday evenings in 1992.